Well folks, it's a nice sunny day and welcome to the latest video on how to buy vintage fishing reels. So we've acquired a number of Bodex reels. These are essentially fly reels, and as you can see there's a missing cap. We do actually have the cap for this one, and but the spring's missing. So they've just ordered some spring wire and we'll try and get the spring replaced. They do tend to get a bit painty chipped, but notice that there's a difference between painty chippiness and wear. Painty chippiness is generally because the reel's been stored somewhere, probably in damp, and it hasn't been looked after that well, whereas wear is usually serious wear marks that you can see where it's been rubbed a lot, which this hasn't really. So you can usually tell, and this is actually quite a good reel. One of the downers of this type of reel is I've never been able to find a good matching paint for it. So touching it up is not always an option with these, unfortunately. So this is a Bodex. It's got a brake on it, and the brake and everything are all in full working order. This reel did have what's called chick, which essentially is where somebody has dinked the side of the front of the cage usually, and when you wind it, it goes chick. So that's now been fixed on this reel, and as you can see, I'm kind of half working on it, but it's otherwise a good reel. It's going to come out well. It's got its original line guard on the side there, and it doesn't have the original foot, but this is quite a good replacement for it. So okay, next off we have another Bodex which we require. You can see it's an older one. It doesn't have the plastic lever on it, unfortunately, and that needs to be replaced because that's a bit coppery looking, a bit brassy looking, and it's easy to get hold of these chrome screws now anyway. This didn't have any chick, but this is in pretty good working order, and you can see just looking at the reel generally, it's got kind of dink marks and it's got these here. These are corrosion of the zinc, but it doesn't really have any serious wear marks, which means that the internals are probably in good condition. This particular reel has a broken cap here. So this is called this central piece. This is called the slater latch. This is the cap that holds the slater latch on. This cap is actually distorted, and they're usually made of bakelite. So if they get a bit of a tap, they just crack off, and then you got to find another one. And there's also a missing spring inside here, which just means I've got to make another spring or find another spring, one or the other. Now this is great inside. There's not really much wear in it. It's been pretty well maintained. I've actually cleaned a lot of the oil off it, so that's actually pretty good. And there's a little bit of fly line on this if anyone wants to pick up a reel on a budget with a bit of line already on it. So that's a good in, and it does need a new cap though to make it viable, and that is something that I will do. So lastly we have this. This looks like a Shakespeare, but it isn't a Shakespeare. This is actually a Bodex, and if you look at the J.W. Young's previous reel models on their site, they did make what's called the Bodex Light, which has an aluminium spool, and it's been drilled out, as you can see. That is possible with plate aluminium, but it's not so possible with one of the reasons why, for example, that one hasn't been drilled out the same is because this is made of cast metal. Cast metal, a bit like cast iron, tends to be granular in structure, and so if you drill it out as big as this, it's going to probably crack and not be as durable. Whereas if you use aluminium, it's cold rolled, and cold rolled has a better crystalline structure in the metal, and it's much stronger. This has its original bakelite cap, as you can see, and with a slater latch adjuster, and the spring is still present, so that's good. And it looks good inside, but there's a real problem with this reel. When you put the thing back on again, it winds great in one direction, which is when the line pays out on a right-hander anyway. but in the other direction it is so hard to turn, and it's really cranky. So not really sure if I would want to sell this as a working reel. I'm still thinking about it. I'm not sure. The drag has been turned right off. I can probably show you that inside if you have a look there. So the drag has been turned right off. So I'm not really sure why it's so sticky. I've actually swapped the ratchet pawls from the other two reels over just to see, because they're both the same size, and I don't necessarily get a better performance from this, and it makes me wonder whether somebody's put the wrong size ratchet into it, perhaps. I can't otherwise get to the bottom of it. The spring is also quite a bit stiffer than most Bodexes, so that could also be one of the reasons why. Anyway, enough of the Bodex. We acquired these. Now I buy these regularly for spares, and people still like these, believe it or not. It's called the automatic, which I'm not really sure why. I think that is the French word for automatic, and it's the 330, and they're very popular still, and people want them, and people want the spares for them too. If you look at sales on certain auction sites, you can see these still fetching £40–50 in mint box condition, sometimes more than that. So we acquired this for spares. Now if I wind this, it goes back and forth, but then if I put the ratchet switch on, oh, it is working now actually. That's interesting. Earlier on when I tried this, it didn't actually work, and I believe that upon investigating this, there'll probably be a lot of grease inside it, which is making it not work properly. There's also a bit of a problem with the spring on the drum loader, and that's not really working properly. Now these automatics, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to tap this, and that's supposed to pop up, and then you cast, and the bail arm flips over and sets itself ready for the next cast. But as you can see, it doesn't work. Now one of the reasons why is that people take these apart and they don't put them back together properly. So this can be fixed, but it's not a particularly good example, so I'm just going to use it for spares, I think. But I may well do an investigation video on what's wrong with it. So okay, so now we come to this one. And if you look at this, I just acquired this. That's your Mitchell 330, and that's the pen. This is a sea fishing reel. It's designed for beach casting. It's called a Surf Blaster, and it is a huge beast of a thing. It's enormous. And we picked this up from a local dealer for about £15 or so. I think they sell for around 80, and there's nothing actually wrong with it. So later on I will do a video where we take it apart and put it back together, and those videos do seem to be popular on our site, so just thought I'd show you that, because it's just such a huge thing. What an enormous item. Now the intention for me is to actually use this on the beach. I'm probably not going to sell it, but I might put it up for sale, I'm not sure. Anyway folks, that brings us to the end of this little video about buying vintage fishing reels. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.